3 copies of Dark Side of the Moon. Is the upgrade worth it? Today we're comparing 3 versions. A 5th press that most people will probably have in their collections if you've got one. The super rare 1st press, original, and a more budget-friendly option. This is a 50th anniversary repress and is still available new. Same album, 3 price points. Let's see what you're actually paying for. So, we'll start with our 5th press, and when it comes to audio, this is a pretty good baseline. Later in the 80s, they started repressing these, and some of the US presses weren't that good. This one is a really good place to start. You'll see that the majority of the 5th presses have HTM engraved in the runout matrix. Now, this refers to Harry T. Moss, who will have cut this record. Now, Harry cut lots of great sounding LPs, not just for Pink Floyd, but also for bands like the Beatles. And his signature and his cutting is kind of a sign of quality craftsmanship within the record industry. Another thing to note is that this 5th press corrects the notorious skip during the track Money that some, but not all, of the earlier presses had. A 5th press like this in plus condition will probably set you back between £80 and £100. Now, moving on, this is our 1st press, and you can tell what it is straight away by looking at the label. It's the iconic solid blue design. This is the most collectible version, and it's not really surprising why. This is an iconic album, it's an iconic label design, and people just want the first of things, and this is it. Then layer on top the audio. We talked about how the 5th press wasn't that much later, but this is the 1st press. This was 1973. This is the closest to that analog tape that we're ever going to get. Now, depending on condition, we would expect a 1st press like this to be worth anything from £800 to about £1,500. But at the top end of that estimate, we'd expect the record to be in excellent or near mint condition, which is very rare, and also we would expect that the extras were all there. Moving on to the 50th anniversary edition. This one here was actually remastered by James Guthrie from the original analog tapes. It was pressed on 180-gram vinyl, and in terms of how it differs from these two, it has a kind of cleaner, slightly sharper sound. It removes some of the warmth of the earlier pressings and brings out some of the quieter parts. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Well, that's just personal preference. It's just slightly different. The advantage of a record like this, released only 3 years ago, is that you can actually still buy them new. So you're not having to contend with 50-year-old scratches. It's also available at a lower price point. You would expect to buy these for around £30 or £40 new. So, what are our final thoughts? Let's start with our 50th anniversary repressing. This is a great album. It's got a good price point, all of the bits are in it, and if you're new and need a record like this, and who doesn't want Dark Side of the Moon in their collection, this is a good place to start. Now, why should you go for the 5th press? Well, it's pretty close to the 1st press, as we discussed. It was released in the same decade, and this is what the album really meant in the 1970s. It was cut by Harry T. Moss. It's got the quality there, and it's also got the history. This record is nearly 50 years old, and there's something special about that, particularly for someone like me who wasn't here in the late 1970s to play it originally. And as we discussed, it's pretty close for most people compared to this one. So, why would you buy the 1st press? Well, why does anyone buy anything special? There's something about it. The blue solid triangle is just iconic in the world of record collecting. If this is your record, if you love Dark Side of the Moon, you can understand why you'd want a 1st press, that piece of history. Then layer on top the audio. We talked about how the 5th press wasn't that much later, but this is the 1st press. This was 1973. This is the closest to that analog tape that we're ever going to get. And you're very unlikely to find one in the kind of condition that you would the 50th anniversary, but there's also beauty in that, and that's what makes secondhand records special. It's that history again. So, the same album, but very different reasons to buy. Which would you have?